Good morning, I'm Maddie Jansen, and this is the podcast of 17 News at Sunrise. It's everything you need to know to start your day in about 15 minutes.
Working in the spirit of the Golden Empire, this is 17 News at Sunrise.
Public health officials scramble to prepare for the spread of the coronavirus after the possible first case of community spread emerges. We'll tell you what you need to know about COVID-19, plus local public health officials tell us how they're getting ready.
Just 5 days out from the March primary, we delve into one of the propositions you'll have to decide on, Prop 13, a $15 billion bond for repair, renovation, and construction of aging schools. Critics and proponents weigh in.
A day of mourning. The second firefighter killed in the Porterville library fire is set to be laid to rest today. What the chief says about the two men and how the deaths are impacting the department on this Thursday, February 27th, 2020. Good morning, 5 a.m. Good to have you with us. I'm Maddie Jansen alongside Alex Fisher.
Warm day yesterday. It was in the 80s.
Toasty.
I mean, I was outside for just a little bit and sitting in my car, and I quickly had to turn the AC on because I'm not acclimated to these warm temperatures. But it did feel nice later on in the day.
Yeah, beautiful up in the mountains as well once I got home. And more of this warm weather on the way, Kev?
Yeah, we talked about possibly reaching a record yesterday, and we did it. 82 degrees was the high. The old record for yesterday was 80, and that was set back in 1992. And we have a chance of making more records happen, especially as we head into tomorrow. But we definitely broke that record yesterday. 49 degrees to start off your morning today. Grab a jacket if you're headed out the door. You have a light wind out of the east-southeast at 5 right now. We'll start out in the lower 50s, 73 by noon, and we should be near 80 this afternoon, and a few high clouds possibly reaching us. As we take a look at Tehachapi, definitely a cold start, 30 degrees at this time with no winds. And as we take a look at the day, by 7 a.m., 31 degrees, and then mid-60s expected throughout the afternoon. We'll talk much more about your weather coming up, but first, let's get a check of the morning commute. We'll send that over to Alex.
All right, Kev, thanks so much. And here's a look outside to the 99 at Airport Drive. And as you can see, things are looking pretty clear on that side of town. And we've also got another look at your morning commute, and it's looking pretty good across Kern County for the most part. CHP is just letting everyone know, especially if you're going to be heading over to the mountains today, over the Grapevine. They're warning people about the wind that we could see later today. So that is an advisory that they have put out, so keep that in mind, especially if you have a high-profile vehicle. We will have another check of your morning commute coming up in about 15 minutes.
We begin this morning with an update on the coronavirus. Health officials say it's a first for the United States, and it's right here in California. A person who tested positive for the coronavirus does not know how they got sick. All of this is happening in Solano County up north, not far from Sacramento. The case is significant because health officials say it could be the first case of community transmission in the general public. That means the case does not stem from travel to China or being in close contact with another infected person. This is the 60th confirmed case of the virus in the U.S. This morning, that patient is being treated for the coronavirus at UC Davis Medical Center.
The Trump administration is facing growing pressure by lawmakers and health officials over its handling of the growing spread of the coronavirus, now in every continent but Antarctica.
President Donald Trump has classified the risk to Americans as low, but as NBC's Sarah Dulliff reports, health experts are urging Americans to prepare for a possible pandemic.
I'm going to be announcing
this morning a new face leading the fight against coronavirus in the U.S.
Mike Pence in charge.
Vice President Mike Pence now coordinating the country's response to the spread of the virus, officially named COVID-19.
We will continue to bring the full resources of the federal government in coordination with our state and local partners.
President Donald Trump saying the risk to the public is low, but the CDC cautions a widespread epidemic is possible, and Americans should prepare for disruptions possibly severe to daily life.
They just confused the American people about whether this virus is going to spread.
Shortly after the president's address, officials confirmed what may be the first case of community transmission in the U.S., a person in California with no known exposure to the virus. The Trump administration is asking lawmakers for $2.5 billion in emergency funding to prepare and rush development of a vaccine.
This is not a time to play politics. We want to make sure we have all the funding needed.
But critics on both sides of the aisle say it's too little, too late.
CDC had people in 49 countries. Those were the front lines to prevent it from coming here. Now there are only 10.
I'm disappointed that there's not been stockpiling in prior years of protective equipment.
Mounting pressure amid growing fears of a possible pandemic. The first human trial for a coronavirus treatment is underway now in Nebraska, but experts say a widely available vaccine may not be available for 12 to 18 months. In Washington, Sarah Dolph, NBC News.
And coming up this morning at 6:30, Michelle Corson from Kern County Public Health will be here in studio to tell us more about how local public health officials are preparing.
All right, your time now is 5:05, and funeral services continue today for one of the two firefighters who lost their lives last week in the line of duty.
This morning, firefighter Patrick Jones will be laid to rest in his hometown of Tulare. 17's Taylor Schaub is joining us in studio with the latest on what's expected to be another highly attended and very emotional funeral.
Yeah. Good morning, Maddie and Alex. And on Tuesday, we saw hundreds of first responders from dozens of departments across the state gather to send off Captain Raymond Figueroa. Today, they'll do the same in honor of fallen firefighter Patrick Jones. Jones died last week alongside the captain while they were fighting a fire that engulfed the Porterville Public Library. On Tuesday, Captain Figueroa, who was from Delano, was laid to rest at North Kern Cemetery. Today, firefighters from all over the state will convene in Tulare to pay their respects to Patrick Jones and his family. The service will be held at the Tulare Methodist Church on West Kern Avenue in Tulare. It will begin at 10 a.m. Tulare County Fire Chief Charlie Norman says he expects another large turnout in support of their lost brother.
Everything we have in this area is such a fraternal order. It's such a brotherhood. When one of our firefighters becomes hurt or injured, it affects all of us. This is a very tight-knit community. It's a big county, but it's a very tight-knit area. And I just want the community to remember great men, great people. Our thoughts and prayers go out to the family. These are such great people.
We also plan to cover the memorial service for both men in Porterville. That's happening Friday at the Church of the Nazarene on West Olive Avenue. The service will begin at 11 a.m. And I was at the ceremony on Tuesday, and it was one of the most emotional scenes I've ever seen in this business. Period, hands down. For about 10 minutes there, the only sounds you could hear were people crying.
Yeah, I mean, they're just both so young
Yes.
and just doing their jobs.
Exactly.
And for the department to lose two men is very significant as well.
Exactly.
So, all right, thanks, Taylor.
5:07 now, and police are asking for help this morning as they investigate a shooting in central Bakersfield. A woman was found just after 3 o'clock yesterday morning on Oak Street. She was taken to the hospital in serious condition. The woman is believed to be in her mid-20s. She has blonde hair with braids and was wearing a black hooded sweatshirt, gray pants, and black boots. If you saw the woman before the shooting, you're asked to call police.
Today, you have a chance to grab a tasty lunch and help out the CSUB runners. A barbecue fundraiser will be held between 11 a.m. and 2 o'clock. It will be held behind the Fox Theater on 21st Street. For $10, you'll get a tri-tip sandwich, chips, and a drink. All of the money goes to benefit the Roadrunner Scholarship Fund.
Looking ahead to some events happening in the next few days, the Acts of Renewal Marriage Conference is happening on Friday and Saturday. Dr. Jim and Carol Shores will host the event. The goal is to help couples enrich their relationships and better live out their marriage vows. It costs $89 per couple. That includes meals. That's happening at the River Lakes Community Church on Friday at 5:30 p.m. And the second day starts on Saturday at 8 a.m. Also happening tomorrow, Greenlawn Funeral Home is hosting its first Death Cafe. The goal of the event is to open up a conversation about death and mourning. There is no speaker or set agenda, but rather just a time and a place where you can talk about what's on your mind. The event is an hour long and starts at 2 p.m. The event is free and refreshments will be provided.
Still ahead, we're counting down the days until Super Tuesday, where people in 14 states, including California, will head to the polls.
That's right. Still ahead, we'll break down one item on the ballot aimed at funding schools. The arguments for and against Proposition 13.
Welcome back here at 518. 17 News is your local election headquarters. California's infrastructure is under assault from the ravages of time. And it's not just the state's transportation infrastructure we're talking about.
As 17's Robert Price explains, our schools, too, are beginning to crumble.
70% of California schools are more than a quarter century old. That's the reality that inspired the legislature to place Proposition 13 on Tuesday's ballot, a $15 billion bond for repair, renovation, and construction of aging schools. At the tiny rural Maple School District west of Shafter, they know all about campus health and safety needs. Here's Superintendent Julie Bush.
When I got here 6 years ago, was a school district that we soon discovered had water intrusion in every single classroom, had water coming through the electrical fixtures, had a non-operational fire alarm system, had dry rot through the roofing system, had only swamp coolers out here in the middle of an almond orchard.
It took Maple School 6 long years to get funding approved and construction underway for current improvements. It might have taken half that time had Prop 13 been in place.
There is absolutely no reason why any student in the state of California should go to school in facilities that are not safe. And we are not the only place that's experiencing this. There are other districts like ours.
But is Prop 13 the right vehicle to do it? Critics like the Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association say no. The state already has a $22 billion budget surplus. And the Kern County Taxpayers Association warns of another red flag. Here's Michael Turnipseed, Executive Director of Kern Tax.
This measure will allow all school districts in the state of California, their bonding capacity will increase 60% overnight if it passes. They're changing the rules of the game for local bond measures. It's a red flag for us, so we just said we can't support that.
No one disagrees with Maple's 7th grader Megan Blumhoff.
It's important, especially since I'm going to be graduating next year. It'll be really nice to have at least 1 year to be here and experience the whole thing, and especially for my siblings who will be here for a while.
Maple School, like many small school districts in Kern County, has limited funding options, and Prop 13 looks to school leaders there as the best possible option. They'll have a verdict in just a few days when the vote count commences.
17's Robert Price reporting. 5 people are running to be the next Kern County supervisor for the 5th district, and tonight they'll face off in a debate. Incumbent supervisor Leticia Perez is going up against challengers Ronnie Cruz, Ben Valdez, David Abbasi, and Ricardo Herrera. Coming up in our next half hour, we'll hear from them about what they hope to bring to the supervisor position.
California Congressman T.J. Cox is praising the Department of Housing and Urban Development after it gave new funding for the 21st Congressional District. Nearly $14 million allocated from HUD's Continuum program, or Continuum of Care program. Cox calls it crucial funding for people experiencing homelessness. Of that $13.8 million in HUD funding for the 21st District, Bakersfield receives $5.5 million. The largest share of that money, just over $4 million to the Housing Authority of Kern, $236,000 for the Community Action Partnership of Kern, and $278,000 to Bethany Services, operators of the Bakersfield Homeless Center. Smaller grants for a host of other nonprofits providing services to the homeless includes the AIDS HIV Homeless Project, Flood Ministries, and Kern's Behavioral Health and Recovery Services. For a full list of HUD grant recipients, you can just head to our website, kget.com.
A group of homeless people are back to work thanks to a new agreement between the county and the Bakersfield Homeless Center. They've been hired to clean up litter on state highways.
I feel like I'm helping out, and I'm helping out myself because I like to be clean. I like to have where I live clean.
Richard Ken tells us that he was on and off the streets for years, and getting employed by the Bakersfield Homeless Center's job development program has changed his life. More than 80 homeless people are working across our county with companies that contract with the homeless center.
Monday mornings where you or I would wake up and we roll out of bed and we say, man, I gotta go to work in the morning, versus the voice that I hear walking up the ramp outside of my office, talking to their loved one on the phone, going, I gotta go to work right now, is a completely different tone. It's believing in themselves again, and because someone has believed in them.
Caltrans is providing $25,000 to fund this program for the remainder of the fiscal year and up to $125,000 for future years. Kern Council of Governments is also chipping in. The county says they hope to open up more positions soon.
We'll still have this morning on Sunrise terrifying moments inside the Milwaukee brewery as a gunman goes on a shooting spree killing 5 others before turning the gun on himself.
Still ahead on Sunrise, hear from employees who sheltered in place during the rampage.
KGET Business Watch is brought to you by Grapevine MSP Technology Services, the Valley's leading IT service provider.
Welcome back. JobFest is coming to Mojave today. A big group of employers will be offering interviews on the spot. Some of the openings are for solar jobs, fast food restaurants, public works, and local government. It starts at 9 a.m. at the Stuart O'Wett Event Center on Pool Street. It ends at noon. The coronavirus does more than affect health. It can also affect wealth. Microsoft says the virus will likely prevent the company from reaching its sales guidance. A few weeks ago, the tech giant announced its third quarter revenues estimates would be between $10 and $11 billion. But the closing of some Chinese factories due to the coronavirus has played havoc with sales. Officials say its Windows and Surface laptops are more negatively impacted than previously anticipated. Microsoft expects it could be a while before operations get back to normal. Other companies and industries have been voicing concerns about the virus, causing problems for the bottom line. Maddie?